Hey, my friends, let's talk about conformity. We all have been, from a small child, raised to conform to whatever the societal norms are. And this has actually led to a lot of problems. It's not that we don't need some type of standardized way of doing business or standardized way of government or having a certain protocol to do certain things in society, because you need to have some type of order and law. So that's not the problem, but it's conforming to the whole groupthink is the problem. And it's really reinforced with the school systems and the mainstream media, everything from even entertainment. If you look at Hollywood, look at their agenda. And it's something that is very subtle in a lot of ways. And so when you are raising your kids, of course, maybe also if you're just a young person, it's good to be aware of this as well. But especially if you're raising your kids, don't put them into little boxes. Don't force them to conform just because other people are doing it. Let them and allow them the space to grow and reinforce that when you can. Because, as parents, it's more about building your child up and giving them skills, life skills, like real skills, not some of these so-called bits of information and, knowledge supposedly that you're given at school. Most schools are lacking, and they don't replace the parent by any means. So it really still comes back to you as a parent to give your child what they really need. And it's not just some stability in their life growing up. That's important. But it's also allowing them to grow and to flourish and not to be forced into some kind of just norm in society. Allow them to think and work through problems. Even if they have to do things that are somewhat unconventional, allow them that process. So I want to reinforce what I just said a moment ago about building your child up. So often when I see parents talk to their kids, it's more about, no, you can't do this, no, or do this, do that, instead of what do you think you can do, or give them options. Or when they do something right, to really build that up and to ignore the times that they're not so successful. I think that's very important. It's the approach that we have toward our kids and to other people in our lives. It's not just young people, but it could be friends and family. It could be even our elders. Our elders are very important. But this whole idea is that, you should only, deserve respect when you're older. And that's not appropriate at all. That's ridiculous. You should respect everyone regardless of their age. Developmental level and thinking is something that we all go through. We don't really have a choice, do we? So why only respect people that are just older? Just because they have more wisdom? Well, I can tell you, I know a lot of older people that aren't so wise. A lot of them are, just because they have years of life experience. You can't help but not to be a little wiser than maybe a teenager. That's a given. But just because the teenager is trying to figure out and sort out who they are and what they're trying to do with themselves and their time in their life, doesn't mean that they don't deserve at least some respect. Now, let's talk about deserve. There is this groupthink that's pretty commonplace these days, that you just deserve everything, especially, and I'm not saying all young people, but there are certainly groups of young people more than ever, at least more so than when I was young, that feel like that they're entitled to a lot of things. They just deserve it because they're alive. Now, in the preparedness world, everybody is equal. But at the same time, if you don't pull your weight, if you don't put effort, if you don't at least try, then you will have real consequences, because you may not have someone there to save you. The government may not be there, and they typically aren't. You may not have friends or family or neighbors that will step up in certain types of emergencies. They just may not be around. So the whole idea here is being prepared is kind of a personal, individual, adventure, if you will. And this is something that you have to kind of look at and just kind of really realize it for what it really is. That this whole process is for you and your family. And that's why you'd want to take it really serious. That's why you'd want to take a little bit of time in your week and look at your options. Look at your progress. Look at the areas in your life that aren't working so well and figure out a plan how to work through. And sometimes it's not, trying to totally revolutionize some type of area in your life, or it's just trying to make it work, trying to be efficient. And if you can't go through it, go around it. Avoid it if you have to, if that's something that can be done. The idea that you always have to just go head on with everything in your life is really very detrimental. It's the same thing really as like going along with social norms, that you just have to do it because that's just what we do. It's a tradition. And we don't even know sometimes why we do what we do. And you see that with religion as well. You ask people that are very, very devout, and with no disrespect here, obviously, but you ask these fundamentalists why they believe what they believe, and a lot of times they'll just say that's what we do. That's the tradition. Well, why is the tradition what it is? Well, they may be able to tell you some things, but it's just like anything else. They just don't really know, or they just kind of have an idea. But to them, it's not really important why the tradition there is there. It's more important just to follow the tradition, because that's just what people do. Now, in the preparedness world, we have different types of people as well, different types of groupthings. And this can be kind of dangerous depending on what group you're in, because you have various types of fanaticals. You have various types of people that are kind of minimalist, and they may not be that prepared, but they think they are. And then you have, hopefully, most of people in the middle there that are kind of balanced. But truth be told, I don't see that in the real world. I really don't see that. I see people that are just underprepared, and then a few here and there that are kind of like just extreme. And so that's kind of the whole purpose of this channel to some degree. I'm not sure how well I'm going about it and what kind of impact that I'm having. But myself and other people that do these little videos, I think the effort really is all about trying to kind of bring people together to create more of a balance, more of awareness of a balance, that it is possible, that we don't have to be sucked into whatever the mentality is. We can say no, and that we should probably say more and more often. And we can do our own thing. We don't need to be entrapped. And if, a 9-to-5 job doesn't work for you, find something else that works for you. If it's just too overwhelming to prepare for a hurricane, find someone else that is already prepared and have them walk you through the steps and make it very simple. Ask for a simplified plan or something, or look it up online and find all kinds of different checklists. If you don't like my checklist that I've put up over the years, look for some that maybe are more simplified. But the whole thing is moving, getting into motion, and starting to be creative. There's a lot of very creative people here on YouTube, and you don't have to hear me to say that to know that's true. There's a lot of very creative people. But unfortunately, though, a lot of times the people who speak the truth and make the most sense are also the ones that are not heard. And I'm not sure exactly why this is all the time. I have a few theories, but I think it's because sometimes truth is just not always fun. It's not what you would consider a real form of entertainment. And so it's a lot easier to watch other types of videos and spend your time in other different ways than to listen to people who have truth and that actually has a way, a solution. And so sometimes we need to listen to the truth. We need real solutions. Sometimes we need a little bit of reality, and we need to kind of put ourselves in check and actually look at where we are in our life. This is something that we should all do. And I hope that you're doing that. I'm trying to do it better. Every day I try to be a little more balanced. Recently, I've been feeling very balanced. Been feeling very good. And some in part was just due to diet, that I started to increase my vegetable intake. I was already eating almost exclusively vegetables, but it was the type of vegetables that I started to eat more of than others that actually helped me. Like, it's an amazing change. Like, I couldn't believe how much just changing a few things in my diet really makes a difference. And so you're going to have to kind of tweak things. If things don't feel right in your life, it's because they aren't right. And take that as an indicator that you need to make some changes. Sometimes, and mostly, it's just small changes. It's incremental changes that really work. It's like the old wise tale that, if you want to lose weight, you don't just starve yourself for a whole week or two. You want to maybe just lose 1 or 2 pounds a week and to be steady, very, very, very consistent, and you'll get the results. And when you get the results, you can maintain those results because you've been integrated over time, and you have a different way of approach that is maintainable. So thank you for checking the video out. I really appreciate all of your comments. It's very nice to have a nice community here of nice people. I don't take for granted that you guys are here and that a lot of you guys watch these channels that I watch as well and be very supportive. So I just want to thank you for supporting all the people out there that make good content and for supporting me as well. And sometimes it's a roller coaster here on YouTube. There's a lot of ups and downs in terms of trying to figure out what kind of message to give to people or what type of information to part to other people. And, I'm just human like anyone else. I don't really know sometimes what to say or what's important that people need to hear. But sometimes, if you get the gut feeling that you need to say things, you just need to say it. And so I welcome you as well to participate, not only just in the comment section, but maybe a response video, or if you feel the inclination to make a few posts a week on your own channel, that could actually help people. There's a lot of things that are very subtle in life, and maybe watching a video may not seem to be that impactful, but you have the potential, great potential, to affect people for the long term. Just because of maybe 1 or 2 videos. You might be surprised. I mean, heck, I look back on some of my old videos, and I was kind of like, wow, I can't believe I said that, that some things really helped me. Like, I helped my own self, as strange as that is, just by watching some of my old videos. And I think it's no different than probably looking back at a diary or a log, and just kind of, re-investigating and re-thinking things. Sometimes when you have a lot more space in between thinking about something and where you are today, you can process things a lot differently. I think it's really important to take time to reflect, but you don't want to reflect all the time. You don't want to just have like a perpetual state of reflection, because you won't be aware of being alive. You won't be able to enjoy your life if you're always trying to figure out what happened in the past. So, I say work smart and don't work hard. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong with that. I think that if you want to do things with a lot of zeal and a lot of energy, by all means. And I do that as well. I'm very, very focused, and I do things with a lot of energy. But at the same time, don't just think that working hard fixes everything, because it's not. You have to make sure what you're doing is appropriate. That's why you have to work smart. And I know a lot of people that have really poor results because they work so hard. That their body's broken down because they wore themselves out, or they just worked really hard, but they have a job that doesn't pay anything, and well, they're in the poorhouse. And so just because you work so hard doesn't guarantee you anything. In a lot of cases, it's just not good for you. It's just too stressful. It's just not going to work out. So you have to find ways that actually do work. And so that's why it's working smart, it's working efficiently, and being able to say no to things, finding your rhythm and your balance in your life, and just taking a step and being more aware of the moment that we live in, because we can't live anywhere else, really. It's kind of funny when people say, oh, you need to live in the moment. Well, where else can we live? We can't live in the past, can't live in the future. So we have to just kind of like pay attention to the moment, because it's all we really have. There is no other choice. But instead of actually paying attention in the moment that we're alive and we can do things, a lot of people take that moment that we're in and they review things in the past, or they kind of have fantasies about the future. And how does that really help us? Not so much. Not so much. Maybe having some reflection is obviously a good thing, but not too much. As always, thanks for checking the video out. Catch you later.